We go again. We try one more time because this microphone will not stop me from saying. Eberechi Eze is coming to Arsenal, not to Tottenham. You absolutely love to see it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the greatest episode of the Arsenal Transfer Show you will ever see. And that needs another No, it doesn't need another one. Good morning. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. I'm sure you're doing plenty better than you was probably about, let's say, 15 hours ago, when the world quite literally was falling apart at the seams. We were losing centre forward. Strikers were being injured. We were losing it. Our minds were gone. We were in the mud, but not for long, because we would pick up ourselves from that mud, from the stickiness, the embarrassment of being stuck down there. And we would grab the back of the head of the nearest Spurs fan next to you and thrust it straight into the mud instead. Because Arsenal have produced one of the finest, one of the greatest, one of the most pleasure-inducing transfer hijacks of all time. Because if you were not alive, perhaps not footballingly conscious enough, we'll try that word again, to have witnessed Mr. Campbell make the decision not to stay with Tottenham, not to sign a new contract, but instead take the short hop, the glamorous walk from one side of North London to the other, where Arsenal reside, and sign that beautiful contract, because somebody else, while not leaving Tottenham, has swerved more finely than a Leandro Trossard turn to floor Pedro Porro reference to end the speculation that took days. Spurs were waiting for days. Their fans were on their knees praying for some news. Where's Eze? Announce Eze. Where's the here we go Eze? Well, it's never coming. But it is going to come, and already has, for Arsenal, because Eberechi Eze is going to be an Arsenal player. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. Thank you so much for listening. As always, hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Let's say hello to the chat box. Those of you that are listening on catch-up, thank you. Those of you that are live, I wonder how many of you got to see the almighty... It's quite appropriate to call it a cock-up, I guess, considering who we're talking about, Arsenal hijacking, in terms of the transfer business. But, yeah, I was so ready for that introduction on the show that I did. So ready. And I was like, I'm not risking it. I'm not walking in again. I've done that once. I think this one's better anyway. We do these off the cuff as much as we can. But good morning to you all. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. It is an absolute pleasure. Rob, good morning to you, to Kirill, to Stefan. Good morning to Sleeping Fat Boy in the chat. Ben, good morning to you, to Dave, Sataki, to Oliver, to White Ryan. We've got the Sheriff of the Wiz. I'm seeing lots of names I don't normally see. Good morning to you all. Thank you so much for joining me. Where have you been? Why are you such fair weather fans? Why are you only tuning in for the good news? That's the question I've got for you. We want the Matt G's and the Sharis and the Carrie Anns and the Black Shines. We want our regulars who have been absolutely mugged off by StreamYard this morning. Lots of new people in the chat. I see Chris in the chat. He's one of our regs, of course. There are plenty of you in the chat. We've got Wes Bird in the chat. It's good to see, of course, as always. We've got Abby in the chat as well. But there's some freeloaders amongst you this morning, and I can see you all. Greg, thank you so much. What do you think of Tottenham? This is a family show. So you know the answer, but it's 8 a.m. UK in the morning. So the answer is not technically broadcastable. But George as well, thank you for becoming a brand new member of the channel as well. Very much appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining us. If you can work out a reason why I'm wearing this shirt in particular, do let me know in the chat box. If you think you can work it out and you can work out the link, do let me know what you think the link might be. There is a reason behind it. Also says, no love for the OGs. I'd love to give the OGs plenty of love as well. Paul in the chat box today too. But there's so many people in the chat today that we don't normally see. But stay welcome. We do these shows every single morning, 8 a.m. UK time, not just when the transfer window's open, but all the time. All the time. Rain, shine, good news, bad news. We do it all the time, people. We keep it real. We keep it objective. We speak the truth, at least ours. So continue to listen. Do make sure you drop a like on the video. We try and reach 1,000 every single day, but we're going to be greedy. We're going to be greedy today because Arsenal have been greedy. They thought 5 signings? No. 6 signings? No. 7 signings? Yes. And that's why we're going to go for 7. No, I'm joking. We're going to go for 2. 2. I think 2 is fair enough. 2,000 likes. If we can get to 2,000 likes on today's show, that would be, if we could get 7,000 likes, which I don't think would happen, but if we can get 2,000 likes, that'd be great. And there's already 2,200 of you listening this morning. So if you could drop a like on the video, all of you watching this show right now, you freeloaders, please do drop a like on the video now. It would be greatly appreciated. But we've wasted so far 6 minutes. Barry from the Midlands is very irritated that I've taken 6 minutes to start this show. So let's get on with it, shall we? And kick off with, unfortunately, the bad news. We have to sort the bad news first. We have to sort the bad news first. Which is the Kai Havertz story. And I'm sorry to bring the mood down. And I know that there's a lot of irony here, and I know there's a lot of people celebrating this, and I know there's a lot of people very thankful that the Havertz injury is what, of course, sparked the Eberechi Eze story. But let's make no bones about this first. The Kai Havertz injury is annoying. I hate this. I hate that this has happened. Because in my opinion, there was real hope. There was hope that we might do something anyway this window, that something might happen. Whether it was going to be Eze, I don't know, because the fact of the matter is that I do know is that the Havertz injury was very key in Arsenal really pushing ahead with the Eze signing. But the Havertz injury sucks, and it sounds concerning. It sounds a bit concerned. David Ornstein broke this story yesterday, who, by the way, has won the transfer window. David Ornstein has done an unbelievable job this summer in his reporting. The class of his reporting has been absolutely top. Broke the story about Havertz's injury, broke the story about Eze yesterday. So if you can go, I can tell you, because I do it at a much, 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 much smaller level right now. I'm still so early on in my journalistic career. But I can tell you that reporting on transfers is a thankless task. A absolutely thankless task. So please, 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 and it's just not about David as well. It's about everyone that's been doing all the work around transfers this summer. Make sure you thank the people that are going and doing it. When they're bringing you news, instead of replying saying, what about this? What about that? What about this? Say thanks for bringing you the stories. Make sure you appreciate the effort that goes in, because it's such a hard job. It's such a difficult job to break stories, to get these scoops, to get the information. So make sure you show plenty of love to the likes of David, of course, as well. But yes, Kai Havertz's injury has been, without question, a big downer on the start of this season. 1 game in, and we've already lost potentially a huge, huge, huge player for us. And I know that a lot of people still aren't entirely convinced by him. But he was on for 20-plus goals last season before his last injury, and it now seems that another injury that happened against Manchester United could cost him a significant portion of this season, if not, who knows, all of it. We don't know. We haven't got the right details yet. We're still waiting for kind of the information, but certainly it's a concern. They're waiting for kind of the injury to settle before they do the scan, and then they can work out what it is. But the hope is that it's not too serious, but we don't have enough information yet. There's a few people that have kind of put little tidbits out there about what it could be, but frankly, some of those people that have done that have been quite unreliable recently, so I'm not inclined to believe it yet. So let's wait and see what happens. But Kai Havertz's injury is brutal. I think that's the right word. You know, Spearman in the chat, one of our other regulars, says it is a brutal injury. It definitely is. It's a brutal injury. And when you have injuries in these moments where it sucks and it's crap, and I hate it when we have to deal with these, it's so important to have such a quick response. You know, earlier in the window when it emerged that Thomas Partey was leaving, Arsenal quickly responded with that Christian Norgard signing. And Andrea Berta has been so good, and we'll come on to him specifically in a second, but he's been so good at pivoting quickly. Like the speed in which Arsenal have responded in the window this summer. Like, I know we felt like things have gone on for a long time, But the Gyökeres deal took less than 3 weeks to complete. The Christian Norgard deal got done like that. Credit to Edu and Jason Ato, who got the Martin Zubimendi deal done really early on in the year. Kepa, done like that. Found out the release clause, paid it, done. Christian Mosquera, found out he had a year left on his contract and there was a deal to be done there. Got it done, quick, bang. Arsenal have been so good in this window. Noni Madueke, I know he's going to divide opinion amongst you, And I know we've got a lot to still see from him and there's still more to come from him. And I'm curious to see what he can do. But we got that deal done really quickly. Really quickly. Despite him playing in the Club World Cup, we got it done before they even got to the final, Chelsea. When these bad things happen, like a Kai Havertz injury, you need someone to be able to be shrewd and smart and quick and precise and execute those plans. And he has done that. And again, I've got a dedicated slide for him, but we need to move on to the big one. To the big one. We need to move on to this glorious slide because Arsenal hijacked Spurs. I still can't really believe that I'm saying these words because it's so funny. There was I was gutted, absolutely gutted when it turned out Spurs. And I said it. I said it when Arsenal looked as though the Eze deal wasn't going to happen because they'd renewed Ethan Nwaneri's contract. And again, everything that I've been talking to you about on here is how that has played out. Ethan Nwaneri's contract. So if you let's go through the story, shall we? The story, as I understand it, as of what has happened. Arsenal had an interest, as I broke to you in May, had an interest in Eberechi Eze this summer. He was a player on their list, a player they were keen on, a player that they had held an interest on, a player that Mikel Arteta in particular has been very, 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 very liking of. At that point, as we moved through to June and into July, and those contract talks with Ethan Nwaneri were ongoing, that interest, of course, in Eze began to step up. That interest began to rise to a level where the talks over a new contract for Nwaneri, it raised a few concerns. However, Arsenal found a breakthrough in Nwaneri's contract and managed to agree that deal, despite interest from a number of Premier League clubs, to my understanding, Borussia Dortmund as well in particular. There were a number of clubs very keen on the player. Arsenal renewed his deal, and the interest in Eze as a result was impacted by that contract renewal. And that's why you saw kind of things step back. And all of a sudden, the talks with Tottenham reached a certain point. A verbal agreement was reached. They felt that the player was committed to them. And of course, he was going to play this game, as he is still expected to play this game tonight for Crystal Palace in the Conference League. But then, of course, the news this week emerged that Kai Havertz has suffered an injury. Now, Kai Havertz is not just a centre-forward option for Arsenal. Kai Havertz is a very versatile player for us. He can play as a 9. He can play as a 10. He can play in our left 8 position. He's a very important player across lots of different positions for Arsenal. And as a result, losing Havertz for however long a time, and we don't know the exact details yet of how long he's going to be out for, but it is expected to be a significant period, hence why we have seen now Arsenal pivot. And when I talked to Charles Watts yesterday, of course, if you watched yesterday's show, we were chatting to Charles Watts. We did a show yesterday, and my honest instinct was, I'm in such a low mood right now, I can't see Arsenal doing anything. I just can't. Charles was like, I can. Charles believed in it. Charles believed that something would happen. I don't think either of us, perhaps, though, expected things to happen as quickly as they did. And now to see Arsenal having pivoted and swiftly moved and got this deal done so quickly. Now, the reason they've been able to get this deal done so quickly, again, as I have been telling you throughout the summer, Eze's priority, his preference, his ideal dream destination has always been Arsenal. He's an Arsenal fan. He was at our youth academy at a very young age and left and was gutted about that. And there is clearly unfinished business for Eze with Arsenal. And that's where he wanted to go. And he has been beyond patient this summer because, as I pointed out, it's kind of been an up and down process this summer where the move looked like it was going to happen and then it kind of fell away. And now, of course, we've seen it rise again. But he stayed patient, but was admittedly, completely within his rights to explore other deals because he wanted to move this summer. He wanted to play Champions League football. He's 27 years of age now. That next step in his career had to happen this summer, really. And so while he was willing to be so incredibly patient, and us as Arsenal fans should be so grateful to him for being so patient because he has been, he was well within his rights to explore other opportunities. And there was another opportunity to play Champions League football, but just simply not for Arsenal until this week. And Arsenal have gone in and got a deal done. David Ornstein reporting and breaking this story last night. Arsenal, at the time of the report, 7:33 p.m. Arsenal make a move for Eberechi Eze, 27-year-old, wants them. Tottenham lined up a deal with Crystal Palace today, but the player after Havertz's injury and Arsenal now closing in on England international. If he proceeds with the choice, Tottenham will pursue other targets. Now, Arsenal, you can imagine, I would finish work at this point. I finished work at 5 o'clock. I did my show with Charles at just after 5. And I was like, right, gonna chuck dinner on. Got lovely gammon yesterday. It was great. Slow cooked gammon, new potatoes, creamy mustard sauce. Oh, gorgeous. But as the potatoes are boiling and my phone starts buzzing, thankfully the missus came home at the perfect time and I was like, can you just look after the potatoes for me, please? Because I've got to make some phone calls. And so I'm frantically phoning, trying to get, because it's in this world where, someone reports a story and someone as brilliant as David, just to give you kind of a glimpse behind the curtain of how this kind of works in the world of kind of in the journalistic state, someone as reliable as David reports it. I can't just put a story out and be like, you need to get the info. So I'm phoning people, I'm phoning up contacts, and eventually, a few minutes later, to get the confirmation. This is happening. They're doing it. And so being able to then obviously put that out as well and follow, of course, that story from David, and of course, add the information that we've been talking about all summer. It's dinner went out the window at that point. I was tapping away like mental last night. Did manage to squeeze it in, but it was a hectic. Yes, it was whole grain mustard, David. Thank you. A very good question. It was hectic last night. It was a chaotic evening. But we got the story done, and thank you to Mark Wakefield as well, who helped me on the story as well from the Echo. It was just great to see the responses online. And it wasn't just great to see the responses online from Arsenal fans. It was great to see the responses online from Tottenham fans. And if you've watched some of the videos of the meltdowns, if you think Arsenal do a meltdown, try watching a Tottenham one, because it is quite special. It's quite a special thing to see a Tottenham meltdown. And if you've not yet watched some of those videos, I recommend after you finish watching today's video, you go over and do that. Because it's a glorious thing. But to give you some details around the deal, as David Ornstein reports, Arsenal are looking to do this deal around the £68 million release clause, of course. It was never really an issue for Arsenal. The release clause that expired, as I reported to you before the start of the Premier League season, there was a lot of kind of conflicting reports about when that release clause expired, but from an Arsenal point of view, it never really mattered. Ed Aarons of The Guardian reporting, of course, the breakdown of this deal was around £60 million as kind of a guaranteed fee, and then £7.5 million in add-ons as well. And I'm really glad that this £67.5 million has been specified, because, again, that's another point. The release clause always was something of a confliction, 67.5 or 68. Well, as I'd been telling you, £67.5 million was indeed the release clause, and that is what Arsenal have now agreed a deal to sign at that release clause kind of value that had already expired by this point as well. So the expectation is that Eberechi Eze, of course, will join Arsenal. A medical will take place this week, we expect. He is, or rather, the last I heard, was meant to play in the game, and it makes complete kind of sense that he would want to play this game for Palace. No, it doesn't affect his ability to play for Arsenal in the Champions League. That rule changed, so he can play in the Conference League and then play for another club in the Champions League. So that's not a problem at this point. So You don't need to be concerned about that. If he can complete his deal tomorrow and is unveiled at the game Saturday, my goodness me, what a roar. What a moment. What an energy booster that could be for Arsenal if they can unveil him at the game on Saturday. Can't wait to be there, of course, for the game. I'm looking forward to get back to the Emirates in a Premier League capacity. But what a game to be able to, like, the first home match of the season, if he could be unveiled, and we don't know if he is going to be, but if he could be unveiled there and make his debut against Liverpool at Anfield. Oh, I keep punching the chair because I'm full of energy, as you can probably tell. But brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And this has got to be the best meme of the year. Like, if you don't know the context of this meme, where have you been? If you don't know the context of this picture that has been altered, as you can see, with a likeness, I've got to say the likeness for Eze isn't great, but you can tell. But this meme, of course, was doing the rounds last night. The Dreamcast, yes, Dave, Dreamcast. I mean, what? That's some Arsenal heritage right there. But this meme was doing the rounds yesterday, and whilst I think the likeness is horrendous, it is, yeah, the Arsene Wenger and Sol Campbell image that's been altered to put that for me is wow, yeah, brilliant. The idea behind it, at least the execution lesser, the idea, amazing. Arsenal history right there. In terms of some of the reactions, Sol Campbell actually liked Fabrizio Romano's post on Instagram that the hijack, of course, had been complete and that he's set to sign for Arsenal, as well as Gabriel Magalhaes as well. So all of the Arsenal people also getting involved in the enjoyment of the transfer. So that was also really fun to see. But we just have to take a pause. Can we get hashtag King Berta in the chat box, please? I want to see some hashtag King Berta, because Andrea Berta has had an astonishing, in terms of incomings, we'll get to outgoings later, but in terms of incomings, Andrea Berta has had an unbelievable first transfer window. And this is why I sat there in January like, please, with all due respect to Jason Ato, who helped, of course, Arsenal to bring in the Martin Zubimendi deal and push that deal through, and had done work with helping Edu build the club to where it is now, get the squad to be in a position where we've competed for 3 title races on the bounce, well, 2.5 kind of. You've got to give credit to what they've done. But Arsenal had a decision to make. Arsenal had a decision to make when it came to this sporting director change. They could have promoted Jason Ato. They could have decided instead of going for an experienced head, that instead they would move for somebody internally. They'd promote from within. But they didn't. The club didn't. The owners didn't. The executives didn't. The manager didn't. They instead went for an experienced king of transfers, somebody who has worked at the highest level with Atletico Madrid for years, to bring in some of the best talents in the world to that club, and has now, in his first window, broken and will break Arsenal's transfer record, which sat at around £200 million just over from the 2023 window. That record is set to be utterly smashed, and Eberechi Eze is set to become one of the most expensive players ever to join Arsenal. I think perhaps actually the 3rd most expensive player in Arsenal. I'm trying to think. I think Declan Rice is our number 1. Nicolas Pepe, number 2. I think 68 million takes it just beyond Kai Havertz, 65 million, to become our 3rd highest transfer of all time. Unless I'm forgetting someone really obvious that I can't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure this is number 3 now. Arsenal's 3rd most expensive deal of all time. What a window. But Arsenal aren't done. And when I say they aren't done, I'm talking about outgoings, because that needs to happen now. Arsenal need to move players on. Did I spell his name? Oh, Andrea. I spelled his name wrong at this. Oh, I was in such a rush this morning. You can tell because I messed up the intro of the show. But yeah, my head's on Mars today in a really, 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 really good way. So yeah, sorry that I spelled your name wrong, Andrea. I've shaken this man's hand and I can't even spell his name right. But when it comes to, there we go, that's better. But when it comes to outgoings, we need to get these done, because a lot of you may be asking questions now about the PSR and the UEFA FFP, and this deal is putting a strain, a quite considerable strain on Arsenal's UEFA FFP. And I think, and this, I'm theorizing this point, I don't know, that this is just purely theory and a lot of speculation I was doing with some contacts yesterday. Like, they have to sell. They absolutely have to sell. They have to sell at the end of this window. And if they don't successfully get some players out through the door, there could be some concerns. But I have that faith that we will see the likes of Fabio Vieira, potentially Jakub Kiwior. We're seeing some really strong links with him now with Porto over a potential move. Reece Nelson, Lukonga, Carl Hein. You know, these are players that could go. And that will help to enable this. The feeling was before that the sales had to come first. The Kai Havertz injury has forced Arsenal's hand to move early to hijack a deal for a player that looked like he was going to be on his move earlier than Arsenal could secure the sales. And so that's what they've done. They were kind of willing, if you like, it seemed, with Kai Havertz fit and available to act at the end of the window. We know that there were interests in the likes of Rodrigo, for example, who could become an option for a club, not necessarily Arsenal, any club, at the end of the window. We'll have to wait and see if Arsenal still do that. I doubt it, but let's wait and see. If a loan comes up, they might. Who knows? But Arsenal have done something very un-Arsenal. They've done something very un-Arsenal. It's not like Arsenal to push the boundary of their financial capacity in terms of kind of the restrictions that are on them. It's not that they don't have the money. They have the money, but they've pushed those edges. They've really, really pushed the edges of what they can do. And we've got to be thankful for that. We've got to be thankful for that. And, you know, we're going to go into the chat box and get a lot of your thoughts and reactions. A lot of your thoughts and reactions. I can't wait. And thank you to so many. There's over 3,000 of you currently listening to this morning's show, easily our most highly viewed show of the summer. And I think we're well over 1,000 likes on the show as well already, which is absolutely fantastic. Can you imagine what it would be being a Tottenham fan right now? Can you imagine what it would be like being Spurs right now? Just as a club. Being in that vulnerable position. You don't want to be in a vulnerable position. Things in life you need to keep safe. You need to keep things safe in life. Be that family, friends, possessions, your data. Keeping your data is really safe. You don't want to be in a position where somebody might come in and hijack your data. Can you imagine if that would happen? Can you imagine how you would feel if that would happen? You want to be able to surf the internet with comfort and confidence. You don't want to worry about a transfer of your data to somebody that you weren't expecting. You want to keep that data to yourself. You don't want to lose it. You want to be able to have confidence when you're online. And if you want confidence when you're online, that you can get the deals done in the safety with the use of a VPN, well, there is only one choice. That one choice, as you very well know, is NordVPN. And if you would like to join NordVPN and make that your number one choice, as it should be for a VPN, then make sure you go to nordvpn.com/Gooner. You can go get yourself a 2-year plan on the service. And with that code, if you go to that website, which you can find in the link in the description, you can get 4 months extra on top of that 2-year plan. And there's no risk because there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Who can say any fairer than that? Maybe you want to watch a program that's away from the UK that's not available in the UK. Or maybe you're away from the UK and you want to watch something that is in the UK. You need a VPN for that. And there's only one choice. It's NordVPN. I'll tell you, I've been planning that for a while. But I'm so happy with the way that went. It's still, I don't have a script. I just got to do these things. But I'm really happy with how that went. Can you tell? Go check it out. Thank you to Nord for sponsoring us again. They're going to be with us for the next couple of months as well. And they've obviously been very big supporters of the channel in the past. And what a time to start. What a day to begin. We didn't know this was going to happen. We didn't know Eze was going to happen this day. But it seems to have happened this day. So we've used it. Let's go to part 2. Let's get some of your thoughts, your questions, your feelings, your theories, and your amazing excitement and more. And so maybe some of your apologies as well right after this. I've been talking for a long time. This was full. This was full before that mid-roll credit played. Oh, whew, I don't think I have to go for my run this morning because that was a lot. That was a lot. Thank you to everyone listening. Thank you for everybody listening throughout this summer. It's been a great summer. We've enjoyed ourselves, have we not? We've had a great time. We've really had a great time this summer. You know, start of the season, win at Old Trafford. Can't really get much better than that. But seven signings. So what's in your cup? MJ says. Hopefully a Champions League. But no, it's just weak. It's weak summer fruit squash. I'm a big fan of squash, as you know. We talked about on the channel. I've given up fizzy drinks this year, so no Pepsis and stuff like that. But yeah, we're just on. Yes, vodka. It's we might have. I'm off today. Might treat myself to one later on. But yeah, no, it's just squash. Right, there's quite a few super chats we need to go through before we go into the chat box as well. Thank you for everybody's kind support. George, you became obviously a member early on as well. Dave, who's been a member on the channel now for 58 months. Hey, people, maybe you're new today. Maybe you're listening for the first time. Maybe you've never seen this ugly mug before. Well, if you enjoy it and what comes out of it, well, then you can subscribe. And we do these shows every single day at the same time, every single morning. Rain, shine, games, no games, transfers, no transfers, season, no season. We do it. So stick around, make it part of your morning routines. It's a brilliant community we've got here. Very welcome, very opening. That's not the right word, is it? It's very welcoming with open arms. That's what I wanted. And I'm not usually this erratic, but I am on another planet today. And yeah, indeed. Here's to all the OGs, says Dave, who's been here since the start. But welcome to our new listeners and those listening on Catch Up. We do these, of course, on iTunes and on Spotify as well. Kirill, thank you for the kind donation. Says, happy Spurs screwing day, everyone. I mean, isn't it more appropriate to say happy Spurs being screwed over day? That would probably be a bit better. Elliot's, who joined us for our phone-in yesterday, says in his super chat, yesterday, you all laughed at me. Well, I have to say, you're now laughing now, aren't you? Yes, we are. We are laughing at you, Elliot. And that's why sometimes you just need to turn it down, rein it in, take a step back, just wait and see what happens. And sometimes you don't get laughed at in the end. Dave, thank you for becoming a brand new member as well. Really appreciate it. Fantastic looking dog on the screen there. Amazing. Let us know what they're called. I'd love to know. We're dog people here. We're cat people too, but we're mainly dog people. Daniel as well in the chat box. Thank you for your kind donations. I just have one question. What does Eberechi Eze think of Tottenham? Maybe we'll have to ask him. Won't we? Anko's been a member for 29 months on the channel. Stephen Ruiz has been a member for 0 months because he's just joined us. Thank you and welcome, Stephen. Really appreciate your kind support with us as well. Amber Lee, member for 32 months on the channel as well. And Ashwin, who's been a member for 42 months, says, are we selling anyone, Tom? The window is a 10. I think the window for me is a 9 out of 10 in terms of incomings. 10's tough. 10's, I said it was an 8. As a 9.5. I'm very excited, but I struggle giving out 10s. You know that, but I'm still at a 9. If we get the outgoings, maybe we can push to a 10. And Temi says, thank you for the kind donation as well. Late cheeky Rodrigo bid. I'm greedy, Tom. Matt Robinson, thank you for yours as well. Very kind of you. And Sweaty Merle has been a member for 30 months. It's because everyone else is. It's like a party. And of course, brilliant super chat as well from Matt. Thank you for your kind donation, mate. It says, as excited as I am for Eze, I hope Kai comes back better than ever. We really were looking forward to him playing this season after he bulked up and had got a chip on his shoulder. Waka waka. Well said, Matt. Yeah, I really hope that it is going to overshadow that news, but let's hope that we get some positive news and it's not like an ACL or something really bad for Havertz, and hopefully it's not too bad. Of course, I'll be at Mikel Arteta's press conference tomorrow, and I'll be hearing from Mikel, and obviously he will be asked about that injury to Kai. And finally, just before we jump into the chat box now proper and get some of your thoughts as well, Mr. Clive Palmer of the Arsenal Vision podcast has been a member with us madly, giving me a coffee every month for 39 months. Thank you, Clive, for your kind support on the channel. Brilliant. That's more than 3 years. Unbelievable that we've been friends for that long. Anthony starts off, says, Tom, I told you we will get 2 players in now that the Saudi bid is under consideration for Martinelli. I've not heard anything on that front about Saudi and Martinelli. If Martinelli is to leave this window, and I'd be surprised if he did, but if he is to leave, then Arsenal have to go big on another left winger, right? You know, Eze is seen as a central player who can operate in a wide area, but surely we have to look at another player if Martinelli leaves. But again, I've not heard anything on that front yet. Matt's been a member for 67 months. They're still laughing at Spurs. It's easy to do. It's when they do things like this and we do things like this, it's quite easy to do, is it not? Lee says, Tom, there is a serious possibility that if Ødegaard's form doesn't pick up, he may be benched with Eze coming in. What a nice problem to have. What a lovely problem to have. It's going to take a hell of a player to bench Ødegaard. And, you know, if Ødegaard's being benched, it means he's being benched by a brilliant player. And certainly Eze is that. So, I'm so excited. I've got so much energy today. I'm going to have a smile on my face all day. All day, every day. Jay in the chat says, hi, Tom. Very happy today. Would give a shout out to my best mate, Billy, who after years of recommending yourself has jumped onto the TTC community. Have a great day. Shout out to Billy. Thank you, Billy, for your kind support. And to Jay as well, who helps us out always of his kind generosity of his time and listenership too. Chilo says, is this the best transfer window ever? It's a good question. Oh, we like a poll in the chat. And I know that timing is everything, but is this the best Arsenal transfer window ever? Just to remind you who we've signed. We've signed Eze, potentially. We're going to sign him. Gyökeres, Madueke, Kepa, the keeper, Norgard, Mosquera, and who am I forgetting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Who am I forgetting? What? Who have I forgot? Eze, Gyökeres, Madueke, Kepa, Mosquera, Norgard, and Zubimendi, of course. Goodness gracious me. Is it the best? It's as simple as that. Oh, I can't. I've got too many characters. You're going to have to know who some of these are. Mads. There we go. We've got it down. Morgard, Eze, Gyökeres, VG. There we go. You know who VG is. There we go. That's perfect. Yes or no? Simple question. Let us know. Is this the best Arsenal transfer window ever? Eze, Gyökeres, Madueke, Kepa, Norgard, Mosquera, Zubimendi. And I agree with Nathan, by the way, with his comment there. Zubimendi is the best signing of the lot. I've been saying that for a while. Eze for me, though, is like, I've been dreaming of this Eze deal. You know, listeners of this channel all summer, you know I've been dreaming of this deal. You know I've been wanting this deal. You know, Elliot must have, I don't know, what time would it have been for Elliot yesterday? As it dropped, what was it, 7:30 we found out? So 6-7 hours, half, maybe he was in a meeting. I hope Elliot was like in a meeting or something. Elliot from the Vision, by the way, of course, if you don't know who I'm talking about. I really hope he was to somewhere where, like, if he saw the news, he wasn't able to react or, like, do you know what I mean? Just, you know, when you're in a really serious situation, that you're in a meeting with like colleagues in a completely separate part of your life, and you just get a bit of news completely separate to your work, and it really excites you, but you can't respond because you're doing something. I really hope Elliot was in that situation. If he was, Clive, let us know. I kind of want to know what he was doing. Dave says Elliot did an immediate Patreon transfer daily and sang it in. Well, I need to go and listen to that. So I haven't had time, unfortunately, to listen to that yet. So I'll go back and listen. Make sure if you aren't a subscriber or a Patreon member over at the Arsenal Vision to be so. It's a brilliant place. Go and check it out. Oscar says, hey Tom, Arsenal didn't do what's in store this week. What time is the press conference tomorrow? Tomorrow I think it's an afternoon press conference. But I don't give out the specific time. There's obvious reasons why I don't give out the specific time, but I'm happy to say it's an afternoon one. So yeah, looking forward to hearing from Mikel tomorrow. Tizer says yesterday when I said we couldn't win the league without supporting the left side, this transfer helps no end. But was this transfer always happening, but pushed after the Havertz injury? Will there be one more? We're never satisfied, John, ever. We're just never satisfied, are we? We always need just one more signing. But it's difficult to want more. And I say that. I know it's easy also to be like, oh, one more would be great. When I think back to how you were 24 hours ago, less than 24 hours ago. Think back to how you were about 15, 16 hours ago when we just found out that Havertz was injured. Think about how you felt in that moment. Think about how you felt as an Arsenal fan about our prospects for this season and how damaging that news was to us. Think about how you felt then. And then think about the euphoria you felt when you heard the news about Eze. I think in those moments you have to be in some ways very grateful for what has happened. I often preach this, is that you need to know when you have enough. And it would be great if we signed another player. Of course, it would be great. But sometimes you just need to be grateful and recognise that you've got enough. And I think Arsenal have enough with Eze. Another signing, great, bonus, luxury signing, whatever. But you have Havertz to come back. You have Jesus to come back. We have a great squad. And Eze makes it stronger. Speaking of people who've been putting the work in over the summer, Hand of Arsenal in the chat box today. Massive shout out to you. And you're working, chasing down so many stories. And I sincerely wish you all the best and well health in the world and hope things improve. Let us know that you're all right. But thank you to Hand of Arsenal for the work that you've done for fans over the course of the window. Maxim says, Tom, it's the best window ever in terms of incomings. But in terms of making it a truly the best window, we need to make those sales. That's what completes it and gets us close to a 10 rating. But what is my question to you, Maximus, is which window is better than this one now? Can you just tell me which window is better than this one? You know, and I know, and I agree with you. I think we need to make signings to make it truly a 10. But what window is better than this? Which summer for Arsenal was better than this now? As if it was to stop now, name me a window better, even with incomings and sales. Which window is it? Kevin says, I can't stop smiling. Lord with the Fangs says, Tom, I'm going to be quite honest. I believe this deal was going to happen anyway. Spurs made the offer and was accepted and we matched it. I know a lot of people are going to feel that way. My understanding is that the Havertz injury played a huge role in this being pushed. I'm not saying that it wouldn't have happened anyway, like between now and the end of the window, because, and you might remember me saying this, but I did say to you, I got a weird feeling about the Spurs Eze thing because I feel like if he wanted it to happen, it would have happened. You might remember us talking about this a few days ago. I said I'm getting weird vibes off the Eze to Spurs deal because it's taking too long for a deal that should be quite easy to do. It's proving not that easy to do. And I mean, look how easy it could have been as well. But oh, by the way, I probably shouldn't have answered that question because please don't spam the chat. We don't tend to answer the questions, but I didn't look before I clicked the question. But yeah, when it comes to that deal, Claire said, you also said that signing Eze was unlikely. Yeah, and at the time it was, you know, and that shows you things change. There was a time in the window where I thought the deal for Eze was going to happen. And then, of course, you remember that morning where I had to basically apologize to you all because I was going to give you some bad news. At that point, I'd heard that it was not very likely. But this Havertz injury changed everything. It's changed absolutely everything. And it shows you the volatility of a transfer window. It shows you the unpredictable nature of a transfer window. It shows you that you can get the feeling. And you know, let's be real, right? When I said that it was unlikely, you all saw the stories that followed that morning. You all saw the reports that came out after. You know, I was one of the first, if not the first, that morning talking about the idea that a move for Eze wasn't looking too rosy. And then, of course, Spurs came in, and you know, at that point, that was the situation. That was the scenario as it was at that moment. And every report you saw following that reflected that as well, until things changed. That for me shows you the joy of a transfer window in the best possible way. I love doing this show. I love engaging with all of you, all 3,000 plus. Where have the rest of you been? And this is why these moments are great. These moments are what we enjoy the transfer window for. It's what makes it so fun. And the hit of dopamine that I'm sure so many of you, me included, got yesterday evening, you know, that's what we love transfer windows for. They can bring you such joy. They can take that joy away in a second. But yeah, look. Anyway, let's. Game says, Tom, why so emotional? I've got a lot of emotions right now. I'm on the top of the world feeling right now about Arsenal and transfers. It's a great morning, and I'm just very appreciative of everybody that listens to the show. There's nothing wrong with that. You want to see a man cry? Baz says Fab kept tweeting Eze was close to Spurs, but then came in Ornstein. Harish says, shout out to the GOAT, David Ornstein. Tom, I know you being a journalist, you look up to him. I wish one day you will have a bomber like this, and I want you to do so in one of your 8 a.m. shows. Well, if I have one, it'll be over on football.london, of course, as always. Fingers crossed. So, let's... but yeah, David's had an unbelievable summer. And he, without a doubt, you know, he's the person that I look up to, you know, in terms of reporting transfers. Incredible. Without a doubt, you know, so he's an inspiration in this field, certainly. I need to clear down some of these member questions so I don't miss out on any ones that I have indeed missed. Jakob, who's been a member, of course, Jakob Maresca, has been a member now for 24 months. And Jacob says, maybe it's a bit shallow, but this makes me feel so much better about the Madueke deal. Big love, Tom, for the shows throughout the summer. Thank you, Jacob. Yeah, I think that's a really great point. I hope it does make people feel better about the Madueke deal. Kirill's gifted a membership. Very kind of you indeed. And Roy says, will Eze be cup-tied? No, he won't be cup-tied. Don't worry about that. That rule changed after the Aubameyang situation, you might remember, where he couldn't play in the Europa League because he'd already played in Europe for Dortmund. That rule has since changed. Mark, thank you for your donation as well. Says Chelsea sold Havertz in 2023. Arteta and Berta staged his injury to push through Eze, and Havertz returns to score a 90th minute winner against Liverpool. I mean, it's not going to happen, but I love the story. If anything, I love the story. It's certainly worth listening to. Wallace says, apparently, according to Sky Sports, Arsenal are looking for Morgan Rogers. As far as I'm aware, that's not the case. This Eze deal would certainly bring an end to that type of deal, I think, happening. Medical being booked for Friday, says Stephen. As I said, hopefully we can see this deal unveiled on Saturday at the game. That would bring such a lift to the Arsenal fans in that ground. What a moment that would be. Orange Juice says, does this set in motion a domino effect that leads to Spurs increasing their Savinho bid? Potentially. There's definitely potential for that. It wouldn't surprise me if that happened. Rob says, morning, Gooners. So I've just woken up to this amazing news. Unlucky Spurs, get in Arsenal. Arsenal for life. Great message, Rob. Philip says, morning, Tom. I'm so happy this morning with the arrival of Eze. Should we use a 4-2-2-2 formation to accommodate our attack? I think we can stay in this 4-2-3-1 we're using at the moment, but I think that Eze will be used in a number of different roles. I think it can be used as a left 8. It can be used as a 10. It can be used as a wide left playmaker. It can be used as a second striker. He gives us a lot, Eze. He gives us so much in these different positions on the field as well, and that's key. William says, Tom, I'm really serious about this. Our new number, this meaning of his name in Nigeria is Messi as well. Maybe number 10. is the number that Eze will take. We will wait and see. Stephen says, do you think that we could again see more changes to the tactics now with Gyökeres and with the addition of Eze? I see a true false nine system such as Liverpool's under Klopp. I don't think so. I think that Gyökeres is the traditional number 9, and I think he'll stay in that traditional number 9 mold. Tom says 3,000 people in the chat. Let's hit 2,000 likes before the show ends. It's all on YouTube, by the way. We don't stream to X or Twitter anymore. We're a YouTube only show. And thank you to all of you YouTube listeners that continue to help support us. Really appreciate all of you being here today. Harry says, let's finish it off with getting Rodrigo or someone similar on the left. What do you think? I mean, as I said before, sometimes you have to realize when you've got enough. I'd love another signing, of course, but yeah, I think you have to be pretty content with what we've done. Maximus asking about the Malik Fofana rumours. The interest in him is real, but I think it will depend upon Martinelli's future. The only way I see another player coming in of kind of like a serious investment is if a sale of Martinelli was to happen. If that happened, then I potentially could see somebody else coming in. But until that point, it's difficult. And Jakob's also gifted another membership to somebody. I wonder who that lucky person ended up being as well. But thank you, Jakob, for your generosity. Jay says, sell Martinelli. Stop being greedy, guys, says Abby as well. Baz says, more, Tom. More. We always want more. And Jay says, Tom, do you feel this Eze signing was another Berta masterclass? Seems like he let Spurs show their hand and saw what Palace would accept without ever showing Arsenal's hand. I'm extremely happy. We talked about how Andrea Berta works. We talked about this at the beginning of window. I always talked about how Andrea Berta puts in a lot of work across targets, lays the groundwork for deals, sets the feelers out so that if you need to pivot, if you need to act quickly, he can go in and do that pretty comfortably. And that's what we've seen happen in this case. So, yeah, absolutely brilliant. Christopher says, would sell both Odegaard and Martinelli for the money and get Rodrigo and Barca. I mean, you're mad if you'd sell Odegaard. Mad. Absolutely mad. You just don't get... I'm sorry. I'm going to say something really controversial. You just don't get football if you don't get Odegaard. I know he could be frustrating. I know he didn't have a great season, but really? You'd swap Rodrigo for Odegaard? Are you mad? Are you mad? Rodrigo, he's so overrated. He's a good player. He's a good player, Rodrigo. But he's so overrated. Martinelli scored more goals than him last season. Are we really? You'd swap Odegaard for Rodrigo? No. Just no. Just no. Like, come on. Get a grip. Stop saying silly things. People are blinded by the dopamine hit of transfers. They're blinded by that dopamine hit of transfers. They just are. They're just blinded by it. Odegaard's a brilliant, brilliant player. He had a bad season last season. It's mainly affected because of injury. But people would swap Rodrigo for Odegaard. You're mad. Goodness gracious me. Baz says, it's funny, it seems an age to sign Gyökeres and the Eze done in the space of a couple of hours of the story breaking. And Mr. J says, crazy stat, Martinelli has scored more non-penalty goals than Saka over the last 3 seasons. Is that true? Martinelli. Let's have a check. I'm checking that stat. I'm struggling to believe that. But, obviously Martinelli, Saka was missing for a long time. Saka's non-penalty goals in the last 3 seasons in the league. We got 27 in the league for Bukayo Saka. And for Martinelli, he's got 29. Great stat. Wow. I mean, that season where he got 15 non-penalty goals, yeah, we've never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it, really. I mean, unfortunately, he's just not been able to replicate that form. He's not been able to replicate that form. As simple as that. He's not been able to reach that level that we saw in 22-23. It's a real shame, but he's just fallen off a cliff since that point. I think that Martinelli's been affected by the way that teams have kind of changed how they face us. That season in 22-23, we hit teams so comfortably on the counter and in the transition, and teams kind of just were more open because they didn't know that Arsenal were what they would become. So I think he really benefited from that. But as teams have begun to sit back and produce more mid and low blocks against us, unfortunately, Martinelli has been the biggest loser, I think, in terms of that shift in how opposition teams deal with us. Daniel, thank you for the kind donation. Says Eze won't be cup tied if he plays the Conference League. Will he? No, he won't. Don't worry about that. Seymour says Gyökeres has no excuse now not to hit 20 goals with the amount of quality that he has in midfield. He's still got to get the chances. We didn't create any chance for him at Old Trafford, so I know the whole no excuses thing, really, and I've said it myself, but he needs the service. Sim says we need Eze and Odegaard's Django Bonito and carefree football back again. The entertainers when Odegaard is flowing gives what Eze brings from the off as well. Finley says Waneri has to go out on loan, a waste of talent, probably won't even make the bench now. It's an interesting scenario, isn't it? But Havertz isn't going to be there, so the space that Havertz has left Eze now fills. So he will still be on the bench, I think. But you've got to think about Dauman as well and how Dauman's going to get potentially an opportunity to play. So, yeah, very, 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 very interesting indeed. So looking forward to that. Sorry, I'm just replying to an email that I had to reply. I've literally just that someone left a comment and reminded me I needed to reply to that. You'll see why in a couple of days. I'll be able to tell you why that was an important email. Let's go to Nonny's headband. Says, what is our starting 11? Everybody's fit now with Eze as an Arsenal player. I think if everybody's fit, Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori, Zubimendi, Rice, Odegaard, Saka, Gyökeres, Eze. That's my team. That's who I pick. I don't know if it's what Arteta would pick because he, there's a lot of talk about how they see Eze as more of a central player, but that's what I'd do. That's what I'd pick for the team. But how many of you are going to be watching the Crystal Palace game tonight? That's my question now. How many of you are going to be watching Eze? It'd be interesting to see if he starts tonight for Palace. It's an opportunity for him to say goodbye. I don't think Palace fans are too up in arms about this. To be honest, they're getting £67.5 million. I was listening to FK and his phone-in show. Of course, shout out to Latte Firm. And I think that they had a Palace fan on and they were saying, it's a good deal for all parties. So, and I tend to agree with that. So I don't think there's any ill feeling about Eze leaving. He's won them 2 trophies. I think the community shield, for Palace, you looked at as more of a trophy than it is for Arsenal. It is a trophy for Palace. It's an important piece of silverware for them. So, 2, with all due respect, I think it's 2 trophies for them. He's won for them. So definitely I think he'll be sung out of that club. He's done some brilliant things for them. And he's not going to Spurs, which I think everyone can get on board with. I'm struggling where to go now. I've put a lot of energy into this, and we're going for an hour. I know a lot of you wanted a phone-in show today. I'm sure we'll have a phone-in at some point before the window closes. I knew there wasn't going to be time for a phone-in today. I knew I wasn't going to have the energy for that. Have you enjoyed the show? I hope you've enjoyed the show. I think it's been one of our best. I think it's been one of the good ones. And what a time to have it as well, because that news was that news yesterday just filled, I think, all of us with a sense of relief as well as enjoyment. Genuinely, I do think it filled us with absolute euphoria. But I think relief is a big word in this. We can all get excited and reach new levels of joy, but there was a real sense of relief after the news about Havertz, because that really, if you watch the show I did with Charles yesterday, if you want to see the mood of me before the Eze news, go back to yesterday's show I did with Charles. Somehow that still did well over 14,000 views. I don't really know how, because it was out of date within 2 hours. Maybe people just tuned in to see our reaction to the Havertz situation and what we would look like before the Eze news hit. But thank you to everybody that did watch it. But go back and watch it if you haven't done so already to kind of get our feelings. There's a brilliant comment. Someone said there's a moment in the show where I say we should go hijack Eze. Which is now looks brilliant. I didn't have any information. I'll be very honest about that. I'd love to say that I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't. But it was a great one. James says, since you're off today, go and celebrate the fact that Spurs will always be, you know what. Have a pint on me, and let's get this show to 2,000 likes. Thank you, James. Very kind of you indeed. Shall we do a quick like check? We should do the poll as well. The poll as well says 92% of you say that this is the best Arsenal transfer window ever. very, very, very much in agreement with you. And in terms of the video, in terms of how many likes we're on 1.9. Can we get 2,000 likes in the next minute? If you've not yet liked this video, help us get to 2,000 likes before we wrap up. That would be incredible. Absolutely incredible if we can do that. So if you've not yet pressed that thumbs up, please press it. Please, please, please. Yaya says, who was it, Tom, that invited to debate last week and didn't show? Where are they now? Was it someone called Mark? I feel like in my head, I feel like it was someone called Mark. I don't know why that name's sticking in my head. Hashtag where's Mark? Where's Mark now? It's always brilliant when we have those moments, those angry fans, the trolls. Where are the trolls now? Nowhere. They're nowhere. They're nowhere to be seen. Absolutely. Was it Martin? It might have been Martin. I don't know. It was someone beginning with M. I don't know who it was, but they're nowhere to be seen now, that's for sure. Keep hitting that like button, people. We're going to try and hit 2K before the video closes out. Aaron says, Tom says we were not getting Eze. We weren't. Things change. And I'm so glad they do, Aaron. I'm so glad they do. Spearmint, you're definitely a troll. You're just a troll that I tolerate. It's as simple as that. Mark says, I'm as excited for the Eze signing as I was for Alexis and Mesut Ozil. And that shows you, doesn't it? Lloyd says, Standards FC. Talk now. Absolutely. Great comment. Tom says, like the video itself, not the chat. Oh, yeah, the little heart thing in the bottom right-hand corner that you see when you're a live show. That's not a like. So if you ever think you're liking the show by pressing that heart does nothing. I don't even know why it's there. So if you click in the little heart button, that's not dropping a like. You actually have to click the thumbs up. That's the only way that the likes work. If you've never known that that's the case, well, now you know. But I think we might have hit it. We have. Round of applause for yourselves, people. 2,000 likes on a morning show before it's even finished. Incredible. The Arsenal community is absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. Thank you to you all. Did anyone work out why I'm wearing this shirt, by the way? I did say at the beginning of the show, could anybody work out what the link is? What's the link with this shirt? Has anyone got it? Anyone got the reason? I'll take a couple of super chats while you get your answers in. Lev says, well, hey, that's just for your efforts this morning, Tom. Eze, like a Sunday morning. You absolutely love to see it. That's going to be stuck in my head all day, isn't it? Thank you, Lev. And Daniel as well says, Eze won't be cup tied. No, we've already done that as well. But yeah, double super chat. And James as well, of course, who dropped one in earlier. Very generous of you all. Yes, it was Ian Wright. Thank you. For those of you that got the reference, of course, and in his mid to late 20s, made the move from Crystal Palace to Arsenal. So I'm glad that you got the reference, hence why I wore the shirt. So yeah, you're switched on this morning, people. You get it. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. Appreciate your time. And thank you so much for listening. It's been a crazy summer. We're not done. Now, 3,000 of you have listened this morning. I've seen 3,000 concurrent listeners. It begs the question, where have you been throughout every summer? Do you just show up when we sign big players? Is that it? Make sure you continue to tune in every single morning. We do these shows every single day. 8 a.m., rain or shine, match or no match, transfer or no transfer. Tune in. I am absolutely shameless in saying that we have the best community around. It's, of course, an amalgamation of a lot of other amazing communities. There's been some brilliant content produced this summer by a lot of my friends and colleagues around. Your Charles Wattses of this world, your FKs, your Sophies at the Highbury Squad, of course. I will be live tonight on the Highbury Squads, 8 p.m. UK time, with Harry Symeou from the Chronicles of a Gooner. Another brilliant show. If you've not yet checked that out, I'm sure Harry will be doing a show a little bit later on this morning. So make sure you go and listen to that. And make sure you tell him that I sent you. Anywhere you go, tell him that I sent you. Maybe not everywhere, but most places. Tell him I sent you. There's some great shows out there. I can't wait to see Potsy's reaction. Me and, well, obviously I love Potsy, but goodness gracious me. I follow Potts on Instagram, and there was a video Potts uploaded to his Instagram page. Oh, let me find it. Let me see if I can find it. It was after the Man United game. That performance was not good enough. It's like, could you think of something more Potsy in your life? We've just gone to Old Trafford and won. Caption: The performance was not good enough. And then the next post, huge Eze to Arsenal bomber. The demeanour of him just changing, just washes over him, this Eze story. You got to love it. He's a prawn sandwich. Did you know this? Dan Potts, he loves the prawn sandwiches now. Club level. He's having food in the Emirates. No more cheap seats for Potsy these days. He's living the high life in the club level. He's sitting with the likes of Clive in club level these days. Unbelievable. You know, he makes you think he's one of you, but he's not. He loves the posh seats now, does Potsy, him and his brother-in-law. And that was hilarious. The video he did, great, good stuff. And speaking of Potsy, of course, Lee Judges. Make sure you go and check out again. If you've seen that video of Judges in the United game, awful editing on whoever did that. Terrible. We painted out Lee to be a different person. But of course, you can go check out Lee Judges TV. You can go check out the Goonerverse. I'm just in kind of shout out mode at the moment because there's some brilliant content out there for you to go and watch. The Goonerverse with James and Sharoy. There's a really good episode. They've come back for the new season. I would recommend you go and give that a watch as well. And by the way, if I don't mention a podcast, it's not personal. I've just forgotten who they are, and it's not personal. If I tried to name every single Arsenal podcast, I'd be here for a very, 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 very long time. I'm just thinking that people that I've watched and can remember, you know, Laura Kurt Francis's stuff over the course of this summer has been great. Of course, the Arscast with James and Andrew. Make sure you go and check that out. It's been absolutely brilliant. So yeah, go and give it a listen. At Football Terrace, I'm sure there's been some rather funny stuff over there. Curtis has been doing some good stuff, I'm sure, as well. Go and check out the Arsenal content, people. You know, it's support the channels, support the people doing it. Even if you don't always agree with what's being said, at the end of the day, you broaden your horizon. You hear different opinions. You hear different views. You don't have to agree with it. Deludi Gooner, of course, one of the most hardest working people on the space. Make sure you go and check them out and check DG out. His stuff is absolutely brilliant. So go and give him a listen. There's loads of content out there. Leave your favorite. This is your homework. After you finish today's show, give us your thoughts on Eze, of course. But down below in the comment section, tell us your favorite Arsenal channels. I'd say particularly the ones, you know, that keep it real, keep it objective, keep it positive. You know, I'm not saying, but you have to lie to be positive. I'm saying, you know, just not being awful for the sake of being awful. Content that it's good therapy. The Arsenal Therapy Show is a good one. Arsenal Therapist. Go and check that one out. Different Knock, of course, with Alex. Some great stuff that Alex has produced over at the Different Knock, of course, as well. And George and the whole crew. And, of course, some fantastic friends of mine as well that have produced some great shows over the years. And I sincerely hope that this season brings us all the joy that we could have asked for, really. You know, it would be absolutely horrendous, I think, for us to end the season without a trophy after all the work that we've done and everything we've tried to do and tried to see happen. But Adrian Clark's got a new show, of course, as well. Yeah, good shout, Rob. He's dipping his foot into the YouTubing worlds. But yeah, go and leave your favorite podcast in the comment section below. Hugh Wizzy's doing great stuff over the summer. I tell you what, some of Hugh's editing this summer has been great. Some of his shows where he's been kind of like walking around his apartment, that's been great. Really enjoyed some of those watches. I did drop him a WhatsApp to let him know that I enjoyed watching that because it was good. We've already hit 2,000 likes, so I guess, do we be a bit greedy and say by tomorrow morning? It'd be great if we could hit 3,000. If you've not dropped a like already, please make sure you do. If you're listening on catch up, thank you so much for doing so. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning ahead of Mikel Arteta's press conference in the afternoon. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy the day. Go laugh at your favourite Tottenham friend. And as always, up the Arsenal. Oh, and stay safe, stay well, stay happy and respectful, as always, too.